What a soft Kev.
Hi everyone, you're live at 9 o'clock or just after 9 on a Thursday night. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. We just had a couple of technical gremlins getting us going here. So we got Oracle on screen not once but twice. The top right, you won't see a picture there. That's his computer because his audio is better through his computer. But trust me, you don't want to see the picture that came through there. And that's why he's muted on his phone, but we got the phone picture. So I guess in a record amount of time that we managed to make a plan. So let me start by introducing Oracle. Oracle, welcome to the show, mate. I hope it's a good one for you and you're ready to tip us some winners. Ooh, bad echo. Hey, it looks, it's not looking good. There's a bad echo there. I don't know. Conductor, could you hear that?
Yeah, there's a bad echo. Yeah, it just keeps on reverberating. Yeah.
Okay. Let's start by introducing. Yeah, I can hear you now, Oracle. But I can hear an echo, unfortunately, man. I won't be able to do it. Okay. Let's just stick on your computer, I think. Okay, conductor, sorry, let me introduce you there. Sorry, technical issues. I don't know why. It's only with Oracle that I ever end up having these technical issues. But welcome to the show, mate. I know you're excited for the weekend. You've already tipped a few movers on Twitter. Quite a few boys going on. Everyone will just have to excuse Oracle's appearance today. But conductor, welcome, mate. Have you still got some value for us coming up this weekend?
Absolutely, Brent. I think there's always a bit of value if you dig deep enough. Look, a lot of the lines have shifted, but coming off a nice win yesterday with the Griquas, that was a nice midweek treat. I think we've got a lot of games coming up this weekend. So definitely one to unpick, and I think I've got a few fancies which I really like.
Excellent. Well, now let's bring the Oracle in. Oracle, I know your female fans may not be happy with the picture here, but at the end of the day, the sound is probably the most important thing on the show at the moment. And good to have you on the show, man. Are you looking forward to the weekend?
I'm going to disagree and say the females want to see me and not hear me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, it was okay. I didn't go on last week because, Brent, I was so bad the week before. I'd picked Australia and South Africa to win the tournament, and I'm not going to say I feared the backlash because I did get it from my personal friends. But yes, I don't think I was too wrong. It was a bad weekend for me, but I did okay last weekend. I had a good weekend. And I didn't back the Lions, unfortunately, and I see they won from, they were 13-3 down and somehow managed to, claw a 13-point win in the end, 31 of 18. So I did okay last week, and I reckon I'm good for this weekend. And as I said to you just before we jumped on, I'm going to look at some of this women's rugby as well because I think there's a big opportunity for us. I know I delved into this 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whenever the last World Cup was, and I think there's some nice opportunities for us this weekend. So quite excited.
Right, and for those of you guys who didn't catch us, it was a late decision to go for a live show with Harry earlier. So we actually looked at the Women's World Cup. Then we will cover it again now with the boys, but you can also get his insights. I must say, I really enjoyed his knowledge of the teams, and that was superb. We'll get into the action now. Sorry, I haven't even had a time to look at the live chat. We've got lots of guys here. So welcome to all the boys in the live chat, and certainly enjoyed the comments about Oracle and his 10-pixel camera there from Darren. So, really enjoyed that one, guys. Let's get stuck into the URC action. And conductor, I'm going to start with you. These handicaps I've got, hopefully they have, I think it was probably about an hour and a half ago. We got Connacht here, plus 5.5 against Munster. I know I think handicapped this game as Connacht slight favourites. And I think you also quite big on Connacht and maybe got them at about 6.5, 7.5.
Yeah, Brent, I managed to grab Connacht at about 7.5. Purely if you look at the stats on this game alone, you were seeing that I think on the plus 7.5, that would have covered 9 under the last 10 times. So, that's quite a significant cover in terms of stats and history at the sports ground. Delving a bit into the team sheets, obviously Connacht get back Gavin Thornbury, and a really crucial element to their side is Jack Carty at 10. He's so crucial in their lineup. I'm not mad about that 12-13 combo with David Hawkshaw and Brian Ralston. I'm much more of a Farrell fan at outside centre. Otherwise not too bad. Hansen there, king of the takeoff off the kickoff. Brilliant winger. And Munster, they've got a big loose trio with Coombs, Jack O'Donoghue, and Peter Mahoney. And then obviously the Irish starting 9 is back for them. Good Munster side. Moving. His name's off the top of my head now. Moving there 10 to 15. It's a bit of an interesting move, but I mean, overall, Munster have struggled badly for form. Won 1 out of 3. Lost their opening game to Cardiff. Struggled against the Zebra side. And weren't at all good last week either. Lost to Dragons as well. So weren't good to Zebra at home last week. Failed to get the bonus point there. So I'm on the plus 7.5. I probably still would take plus 5.5. I think that's still okay. My only concern is, and I didn't know this until midweek when somebody pointed it out to me, is that the sports ground in Galway, which has always been a grass pitch, has been relayed into a 4G synthetic pitch, which makes a big difference in my opinion. I mean, it always was sort of wet and slippery and muddy and grassy, but now obviously with a 4G pitch, the conditions change, which suits Munster in my opinion. They obviously prefer a better pitch. I'm still going to go for the on the plus there, and I also like the unders there. I think the unders line is about 47.5, 48.5, which is not a lot, but if you look back again at the history of these two teams, it can be very, very scrappy. Connacht without a win in the tournament so far. I think they're going to be desperate at home. But on the other hand, with this new pitch being unveiled, I think they're going to be quite proud of it, and it's quite a spectacle for them. So they'll be quite up for this game. It's something nice and new in Galway, so they'll be up for this game. So for me, big on the plus there.
Yeah, we'll see the points down there about 46.5. Let's go to Oracle. Anything on this one for you, Oracle?
Absolutely, Brent. For me, this is I'm going to call this an obvious pick. Sorry, I'm just rearranging stuff on my screen here. I'm going to tell you that I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. There were 2 results a year and a half ago when this tournament started, or whenever it was. I said these teams are not coming to South Africa to win. What happened last year? Connacht was one of 2 teams that won in South Africa. Yes, they beat the Lions, and that's obviously the bottom end of South African rugby at the moment. But I'm looking at this. This Munster team goes to Zebra. They plus 28. They don't even get, the week before. They don't get anywhere. Last week they played Zebra at home. I think they scored in the last score was the 27th minutes. It was like 63. No, that's not right. 53 minutes. They lost 5-0. And I watched that game. It was horrific. In fact, I remember posting messages on the WhatsApp group going, geez, if I was on the minus here, I would have shot myself already. That was rubbish. They kept dropping the ball. They kept missing touch. They kept making mistakes. I'm looking at the history of this game between these 2 teams, and it's not much more than 4 or 5 points either way. I'm going to tell you that the 18-10, and you're probably lucky to get 2-1 somewhere, is absolute value. I think this Connacht at home to beat Munster at 18-10 or 2-1 is huge value. It's a runner. They've been better. They walked into the Stormers game. Everyone thought they'd be great. I backed the Stormers minus. I won on that game. I was vindicated when Edinburgh went to Stormers the following week and couldn't win. And we'll talk about the Lions playing Edinburgh later. But I got to tell you, the value's all with Connacht here. They can win this game, and at 2-1, I'm all over it.
Yeah, I must say I also quite fancy Connacht on the board there. I agreed with the conductor early in the week on that one as well. Oracle, we're going to stay with you for the next game. There's been plenty of money on this, and I'm going to call it conductor money as well, because conductor was all over Edinburgh minus 5.5 early in the week. It's now gone out to minus 10.5. The Lions have won both games on tour. I thought they quite impressed me against Cardiff, particularly in that second half with the wind at their back. They played very, very well. And here they are minus 10.5. And the question is, Oracle, at these levels, do you start leaning towards the Lions?
Okay, so I haven't had a bet with a conductor for probably 2 years. I'm about to open my account with the conductor again if he's interested. Listen.
Well, tell him what the bet is, and then he'll tell you if he's interested.
Yeah.
No. Listen, if he's over the Edinburgh here, I'm happy to meet him halfway between the current quote and the one he got earlier. I don't mind. But the point is, I look at this and I'm going, hang on a second. Edinburgh playing the Stormers, so I back them. I'll win. Then I go, the Bulls played okay in that first game, and I go plus Edinburgh. So I'm going to say, never mind if I called the Lions right a couple of times. I didn't back them last week. I didn't call them, but I was obviously happy with the result. But I got Edinburgh right twice. Now I'm going to say these Oaks have come to sunny South Africa. They're going back home, and they're playing a team that's just won 2 games against the plus. Against the minus. They were the plus team. Last week I was happy to say, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I was happy to say, hang on a second, I don't know what to do with the Lions here. They won 2 games. I'm going to say the value is definitely with the Lions. This is a team that's won 2 games unexpected, didn't expect to win. Sure, they wanted to win, but they didn't expect to. And Edinburgh, I've called right twice. I'm reading this team right, so I'm prepared to go here. This is a big bet for me, Lions plus. And if they've gone up to 10.5 already, I'm going to say wait a second or two. They might even go to 12 or 13. And I'll have a little bit on the board as well. They can win this game. Edinburgh got to travel, and they were beaten twice.
What are you going to try to tempt the conductor into here?
Conductor, I'll take an even 500 with you at 8.5. Are you happy with that?
So at 9, I'll win. Yeah, okay, no, that's fine. So I'm on the minus 8.5.
Correct.
Yeah,
even 500. I'll stand with my team and my comment.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
For those of you who don't know a lot about betting, Oracle he's taken quite a few 500 Rand bets on the show, and basically
I'm probably down on the show, Brent.
Yeah, conductor's 500 Rand richer, generally speaking, at this point. And on a serious note, this is normally the start of Oracle's demise, because after a few weeks, he normally disappears. So we'll see what happens.
That's why I stuck to 500 and not 2 grand, because this is an emotional bet, and I'm happy.
Yeah, no, we'll stick to the 500s. Now, conductor, this one, I mean, obviously, it's safe to say that you've got your bets down on this game. The question is, if you didn't have your bets down, would you still be looking at the sort of 10.5 levels? And then I can give you a points line as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
1.5.
Yeah, Brent, I wouldn't look at the overall points line. I would probably look at overs on Edinburgh. I think it's 31.5. I think you can get. My only concern would be the Italian referee who did the Bulls versus Connacht game last week, Andrea Piatti. He just tends to suck all the momentum out of a game, which is a bit of a worry. But yeah, I think you got to look at this game and say, okay, right, Edinburgh demolished. I think that Dragons first up. Then came to South Africa, very tough tour. You couldn't have asked for a tougher tour than playing the runners up in the URC the first week at altitude, which I should have won the game. Morné Steyn had to kick a great kick to win it. So I mean, that's a really, really good Bulls team. And then travel down to Cape Town. For me, they looked tired in the end there, but they didn't quite get the rub of the green, I felt, in the scrums. I felt a lot of the decisions could have gone differently in towards the scrums towards Edinburgh. But yeah, Edinburgh were the sharpest, I think, in Cape Town. But like I said, I think they should have left South Africa with at least 1 win out of 2. Yeah, absolutely. So that was, they played, the URC champions and then the URC runners-up 2 weeks in a row away from home. Now they're back at home. They've got, I think they made about 6 or 7 changes, brought back Emiliano Boffelli on the wing, and we know how good he was in the Rugby Championship. I mean, he basically, not single-handedly, but he was a big factor in Argentina beating New Zealand in that, I think it was in a Christchurch game. And then on the other wing, Darcy Graham, Mark Ilmerman, big Bill Matter, William Matter, he's back in the loose trio. Luke Crosby there, Hamish Watson, completes the loose trio there. a bit of a rejig in the front row, but they've got Pierre and Pierre Schumann to come on with Dave Cherry off the pine. So very happy with that scrumming bench. That's with the scrumming replacements. And then we've got to look at the Lions, right? I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, doff for the hats, and they did well. They really clawed on to beat the Ospreys, and then really beat a very, very, very poor Cardiff side. I mean, I think there's things they're not well in that Cardiff side, and I'll talk about that later. I think there's 3 players from Cardiff that have now been dismissed or fired or axed, whatever you want to call it, because that night they went and got pissed at a pub and started throwing eggs and things like that. So for me, that Cardiff side is not great. So if you look in the context of that Lions win, I'm not reading too much into it. They did well, 100%. But for me, Lions have done what they needed to do. And they'll be, they've won 2. I know they're going to know it's going to be a very tough prospect at the Dam Health Arena or Stadium there in Edinburgh. And for me, Edinburgh will be fired up. It's Club Appreciation Week there in Edinburgh. They've got lots of things going on. So for me, I'm happy to take the -10.5 there. And over 31.5 on Edinburgh.
Great. We'll move on to the next game then. Zebra, who many guys in the live chat were saying better the weekend last week, and hard to argue with that, although I ended up going overs in the Stormers game, which just arrived. Zebra were in the ACCA, which unfortunately just missed. But Zebra 13.5, I think this has started to come in a little bit, Conductor. I think I was certainly 14.5, 15.5 early in the week. And basically the Zebra side are proving one to follow on the handicap this season.
Yeah, absolutely, Brent. If you had tipped, if you had taken the Zebra handicap all 3 weeks, you would have been a very wealthy man, because I've covered all 3 handicaps against Leinster, Sharks, and against last week against Munster. They've been playing really, really good footy back at home. The Stadio Lafranchi in Parma, and like I said in my tweet, or I think I said on the forum as well, this is a massive potential banana peel for the Stormers. The key to playing Zebra is you need to almost take the wind out of their sails early and maintain that pressure on them. If you look at what happened against Leinster and the Sharks, they both got nice-ish leads and then allowed the guys to come back. And then when the crowd gets involved and the players believe, and Pierre Bruno is just unbelievable at the moment. He's playing incredible rugby for them. I think I read a stat today, Zebra lead the offload stats for the entire URC so far. So, I mean, they've really been popping the ball up the entire time, keeping the ball alive, playing absolutely great rugby. So, I mean, to travel away to Ireland and deny Munster bonus points, for me, this is a re-energized Zebra team. It's a difficult handicap. Stormers playing good rugby at the moment, but if I left a lot of cavalry back in South Africa, no Dion Fourie. For me, he's such a crucial part of Stormers in that jackal turnover situation. No Joseph Dweber, no Clayton Blomekis, no Frans Malherbe, no Kitsoff. Look, they still got a more than decent team with a couple of Bok players. But like I said, I'll be on the plus here, just because Zebra have been good to me the last couple of weeks, and I'm not going to turn my back on them now. We've had a good relationship. We're still fostering a good relationship. But for me, like I said, this is a potential massive banana peel for the Stormers. Since Kyle O'Connor left Zebra, they're playing such an incredibly positive rugby. And if they get their tails up, I think Stormers could be in trouble here.
Right, just interesting. You mentioned the Stormers cavalry being left behind. A lot of guys saying also just be a bit wary about some of the Zebra injuries there. Now, man, it pays little heed to team sheets. Certainly, historically, is the Oracle. Oracle, we've got the Stormers 13.5 point favorites here. Where are you going?
I'm just concerned that Dweber isn't playing for the Griquas anymore. I didn't even realize he was in the Stormers and he was on the bench. But yeah, okay. That's just a little bit of a dig at you, Conductor, because you know every single player. I had no idea. I'm just going on results here, and I'm going to say that I'm going board here. I'm going Zebra win this game. I think the Stormers are going to arrive here with their, tails between their legs, shouting from the rooftops. I think this is a great opportunity to get a 5 or 6 to 1 board bet here. This is a team that's, we all looked at that first game when they They were plus 28 and they hung on and they won. And last week's performance, I know it was 27 minutes. They were 21-0 down. They could have been 28-0 down if that try was awarded. But I'm going to say that there's a bit of value in 5 or 6 to 1 here. Stormers, yes, I backed them on the minus 2 weeks in a row, and they did arrive, but I wasn't convinced. I think they were quite lucky. In fact, I'd like to say I was lucky to win those bets. Yeah, I think there's a bit of value. I wouldn't even bother with the plus here. I think Zebra win this game on the board, and I'd rather have a little bit of stake with a big win, rather than going big and they, do beat this minus. I'd rather invest a little bit of amount here and go for the bigger win. So Zebra on the board for me is my call.
Right, I'm just having a quick look. You can definitely get 5 to 1 and shop around. I'm sure you can get 5.5, perhaps even 6 to 1. Let's stick with you, Oracle, for the next game. We've got a Leinster minus 15.5. Bit of a mixed bag season for Leinster so far, but I thought they were particularly impressive in wet conditions last week against Ulster. They certainly dominated that. And we did say last week, Leinster on the plus, you've got to get involved. They were backed into slight favourites. Here, they're playing against the Sharks side that battled to get past the Dragons. I was hell of a disappointed. They cost me a lot of accumulators last week. And Oracle, we got a 15.5 point start. I will just quickly look at the points line. Sorry, I normally have a second monitor up, but for some reason, when I put it up today, then I lose all sound. So it's really been a great technical night. 55.5 here is total points. What are your views on this game?
I'm telling you, they've got the wrong digit in the front there. That's either should be a 2 or 3. I say Leinster win this game by a country mile. This Sharks team was absolutely stuffing around last week. They, what really irritated me, and I know, well, I say I know, I'm expecting the likes of the conductor and you for that matter, and anyone else who's had a bet in the handicap, seeing a team win a game or scrape a game in the last 5 minutes when they were nowhere in the match and they're celebrating, like, it doesn't grate me more than when I see that. I absolutely hate that. Like, they had minus 10 last week. They get over the line and won, and they're high-fiving each other like they've won the Olympic gold or the World Cup. That's rubbish. This Sharks team is coming in name only. They think they got the world, that everyone's like backing them, and it's fantastic. I'm going to tell you, they're going to be brought down to earth this week. They were lucky to get up last week. I lost a bet on the game. I didn't even go for minus 10. I think I went for 13 or 14 or 15. I went for a bigger price. I was nowhere near winning that bet last week. They were really stuffing around. But I honestly think this Leinster, after their little scrap with Zebra 2 weeks ago, and yes, they won last week, and they won quite comfortably against their home team. But they got to set a marker against the South Africans, because I'm reading news reports that South Africans are winning every single game every weekend. And in fact, the only game they haven't won is when the Lions didn't beat the Bulls. And I'm tired of hearing that as well. I say Leinster win this game by a country mile. This could be 40, 50, 60, 70. There's no end to this one. I'm saying don't take 9 to 10, about 15. Take 2 to 1, 22 to 10, 28 to 10, 3 to 1, about 22, 25 points here. This can be big, really. In fact, I'm going to suggest that the Sharks don't even get 10 points here. They get thumped, properly thumped. Then they'll come home and they'll wake up and they'll say, hang on, what are we doing here? This is your opportunity. You want to see a Sharks team get smashed? You want to see the Shark Oak do 150 push-ups? This is the game. They're going to get thumped here. Race over.
Confidence here from Oracle. I think one thing that Oracle touched on there, conductor, which I have to agree with. I mean, I can understand why the Sharks celebrated last week, but geez, I was on the minus 6.5 with a couple of multiples. I was pretty pissed off seeing them celebrate after that performance, but I understand that obviously they won the game. Are you anywhere near Oracle's bullishness? The Sharks to me are one of those teams, as disappointing as they are. They're the sort of side that can sometimes scrap and maybe beat a big class like this. What do you think? Yeah,
that's my concern, Brent. So I'm definitely on the minus. Obviously, the Springboks for the Sharks obviously haven't joined them for this tour. So, I'm on the minus here. But there's a couple of things to factor in, right? I mean, this was actually, I was on Twitter today, and a guy called AP Grenier is quite good at, he came into the good comments on one of the podcasts, and he said, what South Africans don't really understand is that, and he made a very good point. We always have the psychology of Super Rugby, where every week we expect guys to play their first team. And it doesn't happen in Europe. Specifically Leinster, these guys have a lot of Irish players. Irish Rugby Union stipulates these guys need to get X amount of rest. Leinster play in the URC, Handicap Cup, Six Nations. You got all these tournaments to understand. We just thought when we were playing Super Rugby, every week is first 15, best 15. That's the case. So, yeah, Leinster were, fantastic last week. I don't know if you watched the game against Ulster, but that rain was biblical.
Yeah, they were brilliant.
And the handling was just next level. A tire manufacturer was salivating. It just, if you can get handling in that kind of wet, they were just fantastic. So, it was a great win for Leinster. Really, really gutsy win against a good Ulster side. They played a very, very strong side. The big question is, are they going to play the same strong side against the Sharks? Because we've seen when they played a B/C side against Zebra, their B team used to be very, very impressive, but I don't think it is that way anymore. The gap is closed in terms of World Rugby, in terms of totally. So I just don't see the Leinster B side dominating as it used to. Leinster do have a couple of injuries. I think guys like Frawley, Hugo Keenan, James Lowe, I think Will Connors, I think Kelleher. So I think they've got about 4, 5, 6 guys that are out. And then you take the remaining. Look, they've got heaps and heaps of depth. They've got great players. It's no doubt. But then you also take into account there are a couple of guys that left for that emerging Ireland tour. So what kind of side is going to pitch up to play the Sharks? If I'm hoping if I'm on the minus, I'm hoping they'll play their strongest possible side. But I don't know. I'll take the minus, but not strong. I'm very much in agreement with you. Sharks they were awful. Beyond awful. They were pushed to the post by Zebra and scraped. If it wasn't for that Grant Williams intercept try, they wouldn't have beaten Dragons. And that's really a poor effort by the Sharks. And I agree with Gavin in the sense that they flaunt this Brock Nation rubbish, and it's like photo shoots. All these guys are doing are DSTV adverts. When on the field and then worry about adverts later, it's pathetic. It's really but that's where the Sharks have always been. I've been a supporter for 30-odd years. 38 since I was in my mom's womb, I could hear my dad shouting about Henry Hannibal. So, that's the way the Sharks have always been. But they do tend to get up when they're written off a little bit. But I'll still take the minus here.
Yeah, very difficult to oppose then. So then let's go to the next game. I suspect I know which way you're leaning there based on your comments on the Cardiff Blues and their shenanigans after the game last week. Yeah, we got the Scarlets minus 5.5.
Well, Brent, I'm not going to touch this game, to be quite frank. It's just an absolute toilet game. I can't. Welsh derbies, because if I bet money on it, I'm going to be tempted to watch it. I can't remember. I was watching Ospreys versus Glasgow, and I understand that's Welsh versus Scottish. It's just awful. It's beyond toilets. I like going from URC to this crap. Sorry, I'm going to be quite blunt. It's just crap rugby. The refs are crap. It's so damn slow. It just takes forever. And if then add in the fact that it's so slow, rubbish rugby with knock-ons, but pitchal knock-ons, and add in water breaks. I don't understand why we're trying to slow it down. But if I had to have a bet, I'd take a small minus in the Scarlets. And like I said, there's a whole lot of controversy now with Cardiff Blues, this egg gate scandal, and guys roughing up waitresses and all this other nonsense in a bar in Cardiff. But like I said, I won't touch this bet for my money. It's crap. It's crap versus crap. It's just. But the thing is, what I don't understand is we want to make URC a good product, but it's honestly a crap product. It's 9 out of 10 games actually crap to watch. Let's be honest about it. There's an odd game, like Leinster might be a great game if they actually run the ball. Like a Bulls with Stormers, good. The odd game, but most of the stuff is rubbish. This game, and I actually will be interested. I think this game could take 2 hours. There's just too many knock-ons. It's just too low skill.
Wouldn't be the first game to take 2 hours. I must say, I'm finding the whole 10-minute water break every 10 minutes pretty.
But I don't understand.
Annoying across the board.
What's the temperature going to be in Llanelli? Like 16 degrees. No. Why do you need a water break? Yes, agree. If you're playing on the half elf in December and it's 38 degrees in the shade, or in Durban and it's like a 99% humidity, yes, it's like a water break. It's 16 degrees in Llanelli. Why are we slowing it down? The only thing we need now is adverts during the water break and we become the NFL. Let's scrap rugby altogether because it's crap.
And Oracle, there's something else about, and I'll get your opinion on this game now if you have one, and I totally understand if you don't. But there's something else about these water breaks and these 2-hour games. Is I mean, I'm the type of person, I place a bet, I kind of like to see how that bet ends up, and then I place my next bet. Now, the problem is you're getting situations where the game is actually overrunning the kickoff of the next game. And, a lot of bookies, they take down some of the markets just beforehand, or, you can't get as big a bets on in play. I'm really finding it take far too long. So maybe a quick comment on that from yourself, and then anything on this game.
First time I heard about a water break was 1994. USA hosted the FIFA World Cup. Norway were playing.
You could say any team, Oracle. None of us will know if you're right.
It was Ireland. Norway, Ireland, Mexico, and whoever it was. They all ended up being joint at the top of the league. But the Norway-Ireland game was quite interesting because it was 36 degrees. And they were begging FIFA to give them a water break. So here's a bunch of players begging to have a water break. And here we're just dishing them out at 12, 14, 18 degrees, which, as the conductor said, it's like, what, you're joking. 19 degrees, you don't need a water break. Geez, at 19 degrees, I've either got my window open or I've got it closed, but I'm certainly not in any trouble. At 32 degrees, I might have my aircon at 16. And at 16 degrees, I might have my aircon at 25. But we don't need water breaks. I mean, do me a favor. That's an absolute joke. I did sport. I did triathlons. I've done rugby. I've done golf. I've done cricket. I've done every soccer, whatever. I've done it all. I never had a water break in my life. I don't even know what that is. When I look at this team, and I'm going to enjoy the conductor's version of what this game is. One of the things I actually copped a proper lot of abuse from personal friends and people that knew me was the Cheetahs played the Bulls in 2017, and I called it rubbish versus rubbish. And crap versus crap has got a nice ting to it, but when you tell them it's rubbish versus rubbish, like I try and explain to Americans that they use the word garbage, but the word rubbish just has a proper sting. It stings more than the word garbage. And when you tell two teams it's rubbish versus rubbish, hell, they hate it, especially the supporters. So I'm going to agree with you. This is a rubbish versus rubbish fixture. And what I always do with rubbish versus rubbish, if I'm going to watch it, and I 100% agree, I can't watch the game unless I've got a little bit of tin in the game. I'm going to have a small bet here, and I'm always going to go for the plus in rubbish versus rubbish. Don't care who it is. Don't care what team it is. If I'm being told it's this team or that team, I'm on it. I'll have a small bet. I'll watch the game and see if I'm right. It's more about being right. But honestly, I'm not putting a lot of money in this game. I'll put a little bit of money on, and I'm going for the plus, and that's it for me. This is, honestly, in this tournament, rubbish versus rubbish.
Right, well, the boys generally agree, certainly on the water breaks on the side there. Fareed making the point, yes, guys, but don't worry about the quality of rugby as long as we can make money from it. And that's also, of course.
I hear what you're saying, but let me just impose upon your point is that if you're on the overs or on the minus, there's no bigger death knell than water breaks. Because if a team's built up momentum, let's say, for instance,
right. Breaks
10 minutes to go, and even I heard, I think it was last night, Judis Weenie asking the players, okay, guys, maybe we'll have a water break now. Well, it's not subjective. No, he decides when you're going to have a water break. No, a team
and also, Brendan, who's he asking? He's asking the team that's losing or the team that's winning, and who's he listening to?
The thing is that it's not. I mean, and we've all as punters, we've all got those war stories after our 8th double brandy in the bar, telling the guys how you needed 4 tries in the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and you couldn't believe. And then the Cheetahs came from nowhere and scored, and and that won't happen now with water breaks because it completely breaks momentum. The guys are under the pump, get you, call everybody in, tie the shoelaces. It's killing the game. It doesn't allow momentum, and that's what if you get guys who live and play punters, and they can sniff momentum like blood in the water, like a shark can sniff blood in water, and it's killing the momentum of a game, and it's going to kill your overs, and it's going to kill your handicap. So if we want to go unders the entire time or on the plus, then water breaks are the way to go, I guess.
No, fair enough. Let's go to the next game, Glasgow Warriors, and we'll go with you, Oracle. Plus 2.5 against the Blue Bulls.
I don't know too much about this particular fixture, Brent, but I'm going to tell you, I'm surprised, right? There's the first thing that I see from a maths perspective or numbers perspective. This handicap is small, and this is a team that should garner a little bit more, and the Warriors haven't. And I'm going to suggest that whoever's priced this up seems to know what they're doing. And I'm going to say that if you're going to go for this, you should be going for the Warriors, because the Bulls have not impressed me. It's as simple as that. I went for the plus Edinburgh last week. I won the money. And the week before, the Bulls did, I can go back to the first game 3 weeks ago when they beat the Lions. It was 15-all at 50-odd minutes in the game. They got a couple of penalties. I think there were 3 of them. And they scored 2 tries at the end. Or a try at the end, sorry, and the result was 16 or 17, and it looked like it was a lot. They didn't impress me. And the following week, I can't remember who they played after that. But that game last week, I was on Edinburgh Plus. Yes, they got up early. They got their points earlier.
Edinburgh was the week before, I think, against the Bulls. That was the 33-31. And last week they played Connacht, the Bulls.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes, I had the pluses in both games. Sorry, that's right. But I'm really, this Bulls team is not impressing me at this point. I don't know. I just get that feeling they're not winning games by more than they should be. And yeah, for me, small bet on Warriors to win the game on the board. I don't know. This feels like it should be -10 or -12. And from a maths perspective, it just looks wrong, and the value's with the Warriors.
Right, conductor, bring you in here. I can also tell you there's a points line. I must say I'm enjoying the fact that we're getting these points lines.
Yeah, the Eddies.
50.5 here is your points line in this game.
Yeah, Brenty. No, I'm firmly in the Blue Bulls camp here. I managed to grab 9 to 10 on the Bulls when it was a choice game, and I really like that price. Glasgow have been also awful. Got absolutely pantsed by Benetton. Beats a poor Cardiff side, and then pantsed once again last week by the Ospreys. It didn't look like they could hold on to the ball at all. For me, awfully coached. The Glasgow Warriors should have went and found a better coach instead of a expired piece of Checkers chicken in the form of Franco Smith. As soon as you open that packet, stinks to high heaven. He's good as an attacking coach, but he doesn't know how to coach defense at all, in my opinion. Missing Jack Dempsey and Kyle Steyn, two big omissions for Glasgow Warriors. Yes, there are a couple of Scottish internationals on the side, but likewise, that Bulls pack is absolutely mean. When you can call on the likes of Marco van Staden, Marcel Coetzee, Ulrich Loh. I expect Chris Smith to start this game, taking into account Johan Goosen's knee issues. This is a 4G pitch in Glasgow. So I very much doubt Johan Goosen would start this game, especially on the synthetic pitch. So I imagine Chris Smith will start the game, and probably Mornay Steyn on the bench. Bulls weren't amazing last week, but there again, Andre Piatti made sure that there was absolutely no flow to that game at Loftus, and no team was allowed to get going. For me, the Bulls pack will be far too physical for the Glasgow Warriors. Given the Glasgow Warriors for their 2 losses and that Bulls pack, I've got to take Bulls there.
Right, let's go to the next game. We'll stick with you, conductor. Ulster, who were well beaten, or the points difference wasn't that big last week, but certainly outplayed by Leinster last week. They're -12.5 against an Ospreys side who have almost been flying the Welsh flag single-handed. I mean, they haven't been brilliant, but they haven't been that bad.
Yeah, Brent, this is a bit of a tough one to actually call without the team sheets. I have a little bird told me that Ulster are going to do a rotation. They obviously fly out next week to Johannesburg to play the Lions. And this harks back to my point about the Leinster game as well. Is after a big Irish derby, there could be a bit of a rotation. So from what I understand, there is a bit of rotation by Ulster. But even so, and obviously they've got a couple of players in South Africa. One of the guys I really like is Robert Balakoon for Ulster. Really rate him as a winger. So it depends what Ulster team runs out here. But I'm still in the Ulster minus quite firmly. Big fan of Dan McFarland. Ulster are an incredibly tough team to beat in Belfast. It's a very, very daunting ground, very, very noisy crowd. And as you say, Ospreys have done well so far. But then you look at the fact that they got beaten by the Lions at home, which is a bit of a blemish to their record. I think they drew to the Scarlets the first game. and it sort of takes a bit of shine off the Ospreys a little bit. Yeah, they beat Glasgow, but literally the three guys on the screen could probably be in the front row against Glasgow at this point in time. So yeah, for me, Ospreys, yeah, and they've got good players, Gareth Anscombe, Webb, and Mark Collins, and yeah, there's good players, but Tuparik and Lydiot, I just think a packed Kingspan will take this Ospreys team apart.
Right, Oracle, anything for you on this game?
I just want to make a comment on the previous game, actually. I'm going to suggest that I'm going to offer the conductor an even 500 on this one, on the Bulls game. I'm going to go 2 here, and I'm likely to get involved in the next game as well. So it's Christmas for you, conductor, because I think that you were right in what you said about the Bulls, but you're not looking at the Warriors. Sorry, you're looking at the Warriors and not the Bulls. The Bulls, for me, yeah, it's poor. I don't know. Anyway, this game, I say Ospreys board. This is over. You're right. Your birdie was right. Not only are they sending their best team, they're sending their best team plus half the next team as well. This is going to be like a D and a C team playing the Ospreys. I say the Ospreys have got a chance of winning this game. So, yeah,
So
for me, I wouldn't even bother with
are we on for another 500 for the Bulls game?
We could do one more thing here if you're interested.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm always
no.
interested. Depends on the proposal.
Right, so you go Ulster, you go Bulls, and what was the other one we disagreed with? Was it the Stormers game?
No, it was Edinburgh Lions.
Edinburgh, right. So, okay, so I go Lions, I go Ospreys, and I go Glasgow.
Yeah.
So there's 3. So you either get 3-0 or 2-1. Whoever wins, we do a grand, even grand.
Best of 3. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And I'll do 10 on this one. I'll do evens on the Bulls, and I'll do 8 on the other one. The Lions game 8 points.
Yeah. Okay.
This one 10 and evens on Bulls. So I'm giving you 2 points on each one.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because I'm confident I'll win the Edinburgh. And I'm confident I'll win 3. So okay, no, that's fine. Okay. A grand.
All right. So it's an even grand if you win 2-1 or 3-0.
Now this, if on your grand, I'll give it to the Jacaranda Kinnesais. So if when you lose, Kev, it's going to a good place. Don't worry.
If you mean, not when.
Oh dear. Okay, all boys. Right. If anyone in the live chat actually understands what happened there, please translate it.
No, conductor's got it. I got it. It's all right.
I got it as well.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, Brent, before you even ask me any questions here, I'm going to tell you straight up, Dragons, everybody underestimated them this season. I'm going to say one sentence here. It's another board bet for me. It's another plus, another board. Dragons will win this game. I'm actually amazed that we're seeing 4 out of 7 games at close to 10 double-digit handicaps. I think it's ridiculous. And they're all in my favor. I'm going to have a fantastic weekend this weekend. In fact, I've already told my wife we're going to Portugal soon. I'm paying for it just on this weekend. It's probably 30% of it's going. This is great.
Your wife on the show, I'd just like to tell her not to just make any plane bookings just yet.
She's currently snoring on the couch, so don't worry.
I want to make a suggestion, Oracle. I want to make a suggestion on your bet with Brendan. Just to make it a bit, I like the bet. You got 3 bets, but I think if it's a 2-1, make it 500. Okay, you lose 2-1, you only pay 500. If you lose 3-0, you pay the full grand. The reason I say that is if someone loses the first 2 games,
Brent, you're doing the Jacaranda Kinnesais out of 500 yet.
No, he's right. If you lose 2 games, you want to know that you've got something. I actually like that. Yeah. I like that. I'm happy.
No, that's fine.
Only if you're happy, though. I'm happy.
So what you're saying? A quick recap.
3-0 is 1,000. 2-1 is 500.
Edinburgh minus 8.5. Bulls on the board for me. Then what was it? Minus.
But 10, also, 10. Sorry, with that Bulls game, Brendan, I'm happy. Draw no bet. If it's a draw, there's no bet on that one.
No, Bulls won't draw that game. I'm not concerned.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Gents, let's go on to we got Oracle's opinion on the Dragons game. So, Brendan, you end off here. I'm interested to know what Henrik. I know he couldn't watch tonight's show, but I'm interested to know what he's on. Yeah, Benetton have been very good to him and to quite a few of us this season. They're minus 14.5 against the Dragons.
Yeah, Benetton have had tough. It was 3 tough games, eh? So I can't remember who they opened up to. Then travelled to Leinster, then beat Scarlet's side. So yeah, they opened up against Glasgow. They beat Glasgow confidently. They beat them nicely. Travelled to Leinster, covered that handicap just. I think it was about 30 odd points. I think if you got the plus 36.5, you would have got the Benetton on the plus against Leinster, and then beat Scarlets last week by 11. So yeah, tough in Treviso at the moment, playing good rugby. Thomas Albanose for Benetton playing incredibly well, the RG fly half. So the Dragons coach has said he's going to do a big rotation, but he did plan for this. So they one or two guys that didn't play last week against the Sharks will be going to Benetton. But other than that, he's doing a big rotation. So I'm big on the minus 13.5. Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, Dragons, I think there's about 4, 5, 6 players that have played all 3 games, which will probably get a rest. I don't think they've got heaps and heaps of depth here. I think Benetton might do a slight rotation as well, but for me, their depth is a lot deeper and a lot bigger. So I'm happy to take the minus here. Yeah, I think people confuse the Rodney Parade effect, and that when they're playing at Rodney Parade in Wales, it's a big. It's a big factor for them. You got a couple of guys, on the beers screaming at the ref, and it's a boost the players, etc. Very similar to that zebra effect, where the crowd gets behind it, and the decisions start going the way of the home team. Playing in Benetton, I don't think it's going to be like that. As one of the chaps on the forum mentioned now, their 10 is out, and then I think the reserve 10 is also out. So they're going to push one of the guys at fullback to 10, I think, this week. So a very changed Dragons side. For me, this Benetton side will have too much class for this Dragons side. So I'm on the minus.
Right, and I'm bringing up at the bottom of the screen there now, scrolling. I'm just bringing up the betting on the Women's Rugby World Cup. That's the outright. Guys, I haven't got the matches here. I had that set up and I actually deleted them after doing the show with Harry earlier. But we can certainly skim through the handicaps as well. But Conductor, I'll start with yourself. Women's Rugby World Cup. Difficult to look past the top 2 in the betting, I think, from an outright perspective. But if you do have anything there, let us know. Otherwise, what are your fancies? What are your fancies in the first round of matches?
Yeah, Brent, just quickly, I know that Harry covered it. I'm very much in alignment with what he said. For me, I've been, as I posted on the forum earlier in the week, I love this Black Fern side. Yes, I'm missing Aisha. I just can't remember her surname. Liga. I can't exactly pronounce it, but
Oracle will pronounce it for us what it says.
Yeah, the replacement for her is Portia Woodman, she's just an absolute beast. So really, I mean, it's like replacing a Ferrari with a Lamborghini.
Why is Portia just because I agree with you, she's a beast. I watched her play. Why is she a replacement? Is she towards the end of her career or something that she's not first choice?
I think I think she plays mostly sevens. Okay. That's where I know her from. So I know from the sevens, she's absolutely dynamite. I love that Ruby Tui on the other wing and Stacey Fleur, the smiling assassin at outside centre. Oh, really, really good players there. For me, there's no ways. And exactly what Harry said. There was big controversy with this Glenn Moore guy. There was incidents of racism and sexism and misogynism and all this kind of nonsense. And there was a complete dropout of Will out of Will in that camp. But now suddenly the entire resources of New Zealand have been poured into the Black Ferns efforts. You've got possibly one of the best coaches ever, Wayne Smith, coming to saying, listen, guys, let's go for it. And I mean, it's incredible. I mean, Sir Graham Henry, I mean, and the wealth of knowledge these guys bring to the fore. And you can just see it. The girls are happy. So big on the minus 27.5 for the New Zealand girls. Really liked Canada girls to smash the Japanese. Wasn't impressed with them when they played us. And I like the Welsh to beat the Scottish.
Right, so those are the conductors' picks on the Women's World Cup. Just a reminder, you can have a look. It's up on the channel now, and I think I put a link down below here as well. If you haven't watched it, you to go and see what Harry's opinions were there on the World Cup. I must say, after listening to him and the conductor and seeing some of Conductor's tweets, I'm getting quite excited for this one. But let's see what Oracle thinks on the Women's World Cup. If he's lined up any good bets for us, just don't tell me that it's South Africa on the board, Oracle. I'm going to take you right off the show.
South Africa minus 20, actually. No, I'm just messing with you. No, I'm going to go France minus here. I see that. Listen, I'm using Bet365 here. I'm sure the local bookies will come out at some point in the next day or so. I'm looking at 43 over here, France woman. I'm going to say that's value. South Africa had that farcical game against Spain while the All Blacks were over here in Nelspruit and Joburg. I'm saying that France minus 43, in fact, probably as much as 47 or 48 is value. In the next game, Fiji, and I love these big handicaps. This particular handicap is 54. Yeah, I'm going to say that
Oracle,
you can take
you're not telling me
minuses.
with confidence that you only seen the handicap now for the first time and making a call.
No, I'd looked at this a little bit earlier, and I'd written some things down, and I'd forgotten what I'd seen earlier. But I'm going to tell you the minus is a runner here as well. The next game is New Zealand against Australia at, as conductor said, 27. I'm also seeing 28, but it doesn't matter. I think that sorry, just one thing before we even talk about this game. This is a triple header. I don't think I've ever used that word before, and I don't think I've seen it before. I was part of those RPL games in 2009 when they had two games in the same stadium. But what they've done with this particular World Cup is they're having 3 matches on the same ground in the same stadium on the same day. So the idea is they're trying to break records with ticket selling, and they're trying to get people to get involved in women's rugby, which is fine. It's all good. So this is now the 3rd game of the day. It's just I think they're using less venues and less days and putting games in the same place, which is I suppose it's okay. Right, Australia. This one's 28. I'm going to say go minus here as well. This is a treble minus for me. I think New Zealand beat the 28. England beat that Fijian team by 50, whatever, and the French beat us. This is a treble minus on day 1. And day 2 is, I think, Tuesday. So I may have to go into those. But there's no handicaps for that yet. Or, in fact, no, there are. My mistake. USA.
I'll call the handicaps out too quickly. It's USA minus 6.5 against Italy, Japan plus 35.5 against Canada, and then Wales now plus 1.5. I see at Sunbet against Scotland.
USA minus, so it's 4 minuses.
6.5.
Yep, minus. Canada, Japan. Put it all right down here. Yeah.
What did you go with, Canada, Japan?
Minus.
And then the last one, Oracle, is Wales, Scotland, which is almost a choice game in places. I see plus 1.5 at 17-20 at Sunbet.
No ways you get my pick here. What's my pick?
Wales.
Draw.
Right. Let's wrap it up.
Take the first 5 games multiple. Whatever your 10 Rand, 20 Rand, I think it works out to close to 50. I think it's about 30 something. And go and stick 50 Rand on the draw in this game and enjoy the game with a beer. I got no call there.
Right. Well, let's get, because I'm going to talk a little bit of NPC.
I'm
going to talk a bit of NPC now with Brendan. So let's quickly get your best bets, Oracle, for the weekend.
Sharks by a country mile. Seriously, that is my best bet. You want to do a double?
Leinster. You mean Leinster?
Yeah. Sharks getting beaten. Sorry, yes. Yeah. You want to do a double? Chuck the Lions in on the board, and that's me for the weekend. Seriously. With this Women's Rugby World Cup, you can go 5 minuses. And with a portion of your profits, as conductor said, he wants to donate to charity. Find a charity, donate some money, stick 50 Rand on the draw in that last game, and you're all good.
Excellent. Well, just to mention in the Wales-Scotland game, Harry also very confident on the Welsh, and Henrik even suggesting that the game is going to start with Wales 3 or 4 point favourites. Quite interesting. The line hasn't moved yet, but I think we're going to see quite a bit of line movement on that game. Reverend also liking Wales there. Oracle, thanks very much, mate. Enjoy. Sorry the camera didn't work out earlier, but thanks for joining us. And we'll run through now with the conductor on the NPC. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
I'm horrified that you guys have got clear screens and I look like I'm seriously in a cave with some dodgy mist. It's ridiculous. I will fix this for next time. I do apologize. But yes, have a wonderful weekend. And I think this is quite a unique bet that we've got, Brendan, that you've got to get 3 to get all the money, 2 to get half the money. And I'm looking forward to it.
Let's see how it runs, and hopefully we can give those kids in the Yakarana Kanalais a good Christmas on the Oracle's money.
Enjoy the weekend. Okay. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Oracle. Cheers, man. Cheers. Right, Brendan. We're going on to Bunnings there. I just got the feeling towards the end of the show there that Oracle was getting quite tired. I think he'd had a couple of pots. He was really batting during the World Cup.
Talking about water breaks, eh?
Talking about water breaks, yeah. But anyway, we are to the Bunnings NPC, just the 4 games this weekend, because, of course, we are talking playoffs here. And we got North Harbour plus 3.5 against Auckland. I got this price at Sunbet.
Yeah, Prenty, sorry, I just want to address something quickly. I'm not trying to besmirch any teams in terms of Welsh or Irish or Scottish or whatever. When I say, unfortunately, Welsh derbies have been dour. When I say things like that, and also in the past, also like things like Aussie derbies have been a bit of a tough watch. What I mean by that is we really need to improve the products. And I mean, if it's a slow game by nature, why do we want to slow it down even more? I mean, there's nothing that sucks the momentum out of a Saturday afternoon like switching over to a game where it was Cardiff. It was Ospreys versus Glasgow. 23 minutes had gone and not 1 point scored, and it wasn't great defense. It wasn't great play. It was just awful attack. So this is what I mean by that. We need to improve the products. I know Henrik spits his dummy and he says, he doesn't like the no defense in NPC or Gallagher. I understand that. I understand that portion of it, but you want to see good play either way. For me, I want to watch entertaining rugby. You don't want to sit there and it's like a 3-0 after 40 minutes kind of thing. So that's what I mean. I'm not having a go at any particular country, and please don't shoot me. I'm a very peaceful person by nature, but I'm just saying that the product specifically URC needs to be improved.
Right, let's go. No, I agree with you there. I've been disappointed in some of those games as well. North Harbour plus 3.5 against Auckland. Brent,
sure, this is a tough one to call. Auckland away from home, massive red flag, but obviously got back Patrick Tuipulotu and Ricky Ioane. How much both of them have played. I don't know how much Patrick Tuipulotu has played at all. And Ricky Ioane has obviously been with the All Blacks, hasn't played a lot of rugger. Auckland for me missing 2 of the best strike weapons in Rayasi and Zahn Sullivan. Zahn Sullivan obviously injured early in the tournaments, and obviously Bryce Heem limped off last week. No Blake, Adrian Choate, but I mean, loose trio of Blake Gibson, Ricky Ioane, Jackson Pugh. Oh, it's tough, and Peter Palazzo, and an incredible front row. I think it's Hodgman and Tauvau. So that North Harbour scrum might be on roller skates a little bit, and as well as a rolling maul. But if they gain a bit of parity there, I reckon I like the North Harbour on the plus here. North Harbour have scored, have got the second best points difference in the tournament behind Canterbury. Tavida Lee, I think he's the top try scorer in the league. Brent Graham, top point scorer. So North Harbour can score points, no doubts. I'm just very scared about that Auckland pack. I'm just scared they just really smash those penalties. So I'll take a small, very, very small on the plus 3.5, but I like over 51.5. It's Paul Williams in the whistle. The weather does look good in Auckland. This is a Battle of the Bay version 2.0. They've already done one previously this season, but I just think Auckland's defense can go missing at times, as well as North Harbour. So I like the over 51.5 there. Preferable to a bet on the handicap.
Right, let's go on to the next game, and here we got a points line of 54.5 and Wellington minus 6.5 against Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, Brent, I've seen 51.5 in places, and that also wouldn't mind taking. It has been a few high-scoring games in Wellington, besides for the game they played against Northland, which was a bit rain affected. But I've been actually super impressed with this Wellington side. They've won 7 on the trot, including the Ranfurly Shield against Hawke's Bay in Napier. So this is Hawke's Bay coming now to Wellington after they've lost the Logo Wood. For me, it's tough to look past this -6.5. Hawke's Bay just haven't been that fantastic this season. I think just the pressure of retaining that Ranfurly Shield assist been too much for them. Yeah, they've got some good players: Chase Chiatia, Stacey Ely, Nira Formai, but Nicky McClatchy hasn't been his same old self. But they've always got danger men like Brad Webb at 9, Michaela Tu'u in the Lucies. But I've been super impressed with Wellington. Wellington were able to rotate a little bit last week when they went up to counties, Manukau, whereas Hawke's Bay had to play their full team against Tasman to make sure they secured a playoff spot. Wellington will be far more rested. I think Aidan Morgan didn't play last week. TJ Perinara didn't play last week. Peter Lakai didn't play last week. They're all off the bench. So this Tasman side might be running out of steam. Really like Wellington there to get the job done. And I like the overs as well. I think this could be a game where Wellington pull out a bit of a lead and they leak 1 or 2 late ones in the end. So I'll probably get the best overs I can find there as well.
Right, let's go on to the next game then. It's Canterbury -20.5, and I see against Northland quite a big high points line here, 56.5.
You know, Brent, Northern obviously started like a house on fire. I think they won 3 out of 4 out of 5 of their first couple of games, but then sort of started to fade as the toll of the season took the toll on them. Obviously, they with teams like Northland and Southland and counties, they just and Manawatu. Unfortunately, these guys just don't have the squad depth to really battle through the season. And Canterbury have just been a completely different bag of hammers this season. I mean, they've been fantastic. And normally you'd be quite cautious on such a big handicap in a playoff game, but I'd be leaning towards the minus there. I think Northern might run out of steam. I'm not sure Northern get back any All Blacks. They might get back off a Tua Fangasi, but I'm not too sure. But other than that, I don't think they're going to get back much. That's going to change their fortunes. I like the Canterbury team. As Farid said, Canterbury is slow poison. They're not going to blow you away immediately sometimes, but they'll just make sure they starve you enough so that you pressure into trying to run the ball, and then they win. They a couple of easy trials towards the end to cover the handicap.
Right, final game of the weekend. Just a reminder that you can tune into our Gallagher Premiership show tomorrow. That's at 1:30. Going to give the conductor a little rest. Shane, the poor guy's been working his butt off us. Chris and Neil, Thoughts on Sports, are going to be chatting tomorrow. Waikato -4.5 conductor against the Bay of Plenty.
Yeah, Brent, this is a replay of what happened last week. And while the Mooloos were, 24 points down, 21 points down. And because I had Waikato and a couple of multis, and I was like, the bets were in the bin at that point, and Waikato came back and won it right to the death. I don't think Waikato will be as complacent this week. I think that'll be far more sharper. I was just quite concerned with regards to that Waikato scrum. It was also on roller skates for large portions of that game. I haven't seen the Bay of Plenty team, but no, I've got to take Waikato on the minus there. They've been, for me, for the first half of the season, for me, the best team, but they really let it slip the last couple of games. But I think they'll be sharp this game in Hamilton, and I think they'll put this Bay of Plenty team away. Bay of Plenty have been fantastic, but sure, I just don't think Waikato will be as asleep as they were last week.
Right, Farid, in agreement with you there on Waikato. Right, conductor, let's get to your best bets then to close the show.
Oh, sure, Brenty. I'll be quite frank. It's really not a weekend where I'm absolutely smashing into bets. As I said, I like the Bulls on the board. But well, in the URC, I like the Bulls on the board, and even at -10.5, I still like Edinburgh. It is a big handicap, but I think what we've seen the sides who have had call it a successful tour, they 1 foot on the plane. Their mind is already casting back to the weather in Joburg, etc. So I just question how determined the lines will be in Edinburgh. So even at -10.5, I like that. And then in the NPC, really like over 51.5 tomorrow, and I like Wellington on the -6.5.
Excellent, conductor. Thanks very much, mate. Always good to have your picks on the show. And yeah, we'll see you on the forum and on Twitter, and that I know you're going to have quite a bit, I'm sure, in the Gallagher Premiership as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And guys, thanks very much for tuning in. I'm going away for a bit of a long weekend. We're going to Dickalolo, just outside Britsy. It's going to be like 36, 37-degree heat. Not sure how much rugby I'm going to watch, but I'm going to certainly try and make a plan to watch as much as possible while I'm there. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to all the guys in the live chat. And let's just have the final say here from Stephen. Saints to beat Wasps, best bet of the weekend. So you can tune in tomorrow at 1:30 to see if the boys agree on the Gallagher Premiership show. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.